All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fernando, and I welcome you to another Solutions webinar series. Before we get started, I would like to point out a few options that our webinar service has. If you have any questions for the presenters throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A option. If you have any questions or any issues with the service itself, meaning video or audio, please use the chat function of the service to send me a direct message so the presentation does not get interrupted. And I will address it personally and we'll try to figure it out, your audio or video issues. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Sheila Moravati from Crayon Collection, and I hope you enjoy her presentation today.
Hi, everybody. This is Sheila Moravati. I'm the founder and president of the Crayon Collection. I just wanted to start by thanking Region 9 for having us and for partnering with us. Thanks to Ed and Fernando for all your support so far and for making today possible. I'm really excited to share my story with everybody and to just support your classrooms as best we can, and to tell you a little bit about the work we've done already with some of the classrooms out here in Los Angeles. So I guess we can get started, please. Slide over to the next slide. So the mission of Crayon Collection is really to use the collection and reallocation of crayons to inspire a commitment to environmental consciousness and infuse art education into underfunded schools. I wanted to share why this mission even came to be because I feel like it's such an important part of our journey. I started going to restaurants quite a bit when my daughter was about 2.5 years old. And we would go to these restaurants and sit, and it just felt like she would eat better each time we'd go to this one particular restaurant, even if I would cook the exact same food at home. It was so simple and basic. But when we'd go there, she would actually finish her meal and eat it willingly. And I felt like it was, as a new mom, it was one of my safe havens. So I'd go to this restaurant maybe 3 or 4 times a month. And each time we'd go, my daughter would receive a 4-pack of crayons, and she would get them and use them for maybe a couple minutes. She was just so little that she barely could even use them. Once the food would come, the crayons would be rolled to the side of the table or pushed to the side, basically half of them not even have been touched. And then once we'd leave, the busboy would clear the table, and all of a sudden the food would be going into the trash along with the crayons. And I kept thinking to myself, there's definitely something wrong with this picture. So I started to learn a little bit more about what was happening out there. And next slide, please. And pretty much I found out that the environment is being extremely damaged by these crayons. So restaurants are throwing away 150 million crayons per year. And these crayons are barely used. Many of them are brand new. And the same token, as you all know all too well, that teachers are spending their own personal earnings on classroom supplies. So our model is simple, but the impact is extraordinary. What we did was we started to partner schools with these restaurants so that the schools can receive the crayons that restaurants will collect on behalf of all the diners that have left them behind. So what ends up happening is community-based groups like restaurants, businesses, schools, will all kind of develop this cycle, this flow of crayons getting from the restaurant into the schools. We support, anybody who has a question, like I'd love to receive crayons. We help them find a crayon donor. And if a restaurant wants to donate crayons, we help them find a recipient school. But we've also made that really simple on our website so that anyone can actually do it themselves using our school finder. So far, we've, done this for about 9 years. So we've collected millions of crayons that would have been in landfills. And we believe that we've made a huge impact in classrooms around the country where that would have never had the crayons. Next slide, please. The crayons that we are talking about do not decompose. They're made of paraffin wax, so they just sit in landfills forever. Right now, recently, we learned that 9 out of 10 teachers are spending their personal earnings on classroom supplies, and 80% of school districts have reduced or eliminated art education as a result of budget cuts. The last and very sad piece of information that we were looking at was that nearly 4 million children did not get any visual art instruction at school. Many times we know that some of the crayons that we donate to specifically Head Start are able to even be taken home with the children so that they have a bridge between what's being taught at school and they can take them home as well, because sometimes the children don't have any supplies whatsoever at home to have as well. So that's another thing that we do with them. Next slide, please. So the benefits, basically what we're trying to do is to reignite art education in a really cost-effective way so that it's an area of learning that we feel is extremely important for these youngsters, and to really create a solution for a very big problem. So what we started to do is we provide the classroom supply, and then now we've been able to provide art projects that are standards based. And so teachers are able to simply look at the guides and see if they're interested in them and use those to facilitate a really rich learning experience with free crayons and free activities. So the idea is that we develop long-term relationships with these restaurants so that they can continually start collecting crayons for the schools that they're supporting, and that the school can continually receive them. And so that relationship is born, and there's no reason for it to end, really, unless the school decides that they have no more need for the crayons. Next slide, please. So our programs that we've developed so far with this simple shift in behavior of collecting crayons is, the first one is the crayon recycling service. So the first idea is that we basically have this solution for an environmental faux pas, if you will, where schools and restaurants kind of didn't know that this is a resource that they can have. So restaurants are saying, well, we throw them away because we don't really know what else to do with them. And we're saying, well, we have a great solution. Schools can use these rather than have a crayon be used for one time by one kid and be thrown away. The other idea is a community-based crayon collection, and the idea here is that we ask kids that are in well-served communities to really think about the fact that they receive crayons each time they go out to eat, and that they really shouldn't be thinking that they have the right to use them for 5 or 10 minutes and just leave them behind and throw them away, and not think beyond their own kind of bubble. So we're asking these kids to consider starting a crayon collection within their school and tell their friends and the restaurants that they dine at to please consider donating the crayons. And then from there, we are able to help them find a school that really needs the crayons and have the kids deliver those over there and experience what it feels like to give back and have that philanthropic experience. And then the last and most exciting part of this for us is this art education piece, where we've been able to create the most fascinating projects based on a would have been trashed crayon. So we've really been able to maximize the opportunity for learning by just saving a crayon and creating some really interesting ideas and projects, thanks to local artists that we've partnered with, as well as thanks to the Department of Education at Loyola Marymount University for their PhD program. The students there have been incredibly helpful for us to help us create these projects and apply them to the standards. Next slide, please. So just to go through how the crayon recycling model works, the first step is obviously finding a restaurant that does provide crayons to children when they dine. The next step is for a teacher or a staff member at the school to go in and ask the manager if they'd be willing to collect the crayons for their school. Most likely they'll say yes. They really do love supporting their local communities. Then the wait time to pick up these crayons is about 3 to 4 weeks. And believe me, at the beginning it's a little hard for them to recall the new habit of collecting the crayons, but once they get the rhythm of it, you get thousands upon thousands of crayons from just one restaurant, obviously depending on traffic. The third step is that teachers can download the full art and education program at crayoncollection.org, and so that these crayons, once they come back into the classroom, there is something really interesting to do with them. And then the fourth step is that schools can go by the restaurant and collect the crayons. If you are in an LA county, we have a partnership with Uber that will provide you with a free round trip ride, and you just contact us and we'll provide you with the code so that you don't have to use public transportation to pick up the crayons, because they are quite heavy. Next slide, please. I think we're about to watch a video on a teacher going to a school and picking them up so that you can see how easy the process is. We teach the restaurants all the time to pick up the clean, dry crayons. So that's something to be just, to consider, because obviously nobody wants a crayon that's been soiled or wet or anything. So these are clean and dry, and most of the time they're virtually unused. Next slide, please. Thought we'd do a poll here. How likely are you to ask your local family-friendly restaurant to collect crayons for your school? Very likely, somewhat likely, or not likely. Let us know what you think. So the answers are in. Well, that's good. Only 13% said not likely, so that's wonderful. It's definitely an out-of-the-box way of finding resources, but it's really functional and it works, and the kids are excited to have them. And if you have crayons in your classroom already, these are crayons that they can also take home with them. Next slide, please. So the Artist Inspiration Program that we started is that we were able to contact some really interesting artists that we felt would be a great addition to our curriculum. And we've asked them to develop age and culturally appropriate art education activities that can be used by teachers in grades pre-kindergarten through 5th grade. We provide our artist volunteers with detailed guidelines from the National Coalition for Core Art Standards to guide the development of art activities. Our Artist Inspiration Program is designed to inspire educators to use the donated crayons to infuse art education into their classrooms. This is because of the challenges we face today in incorporating art education in our classrooms. This is a way to do it that's easy, cost-free, and interesting, while still hitting on so many standards that need to be taught anyway. We really feel like the artists that we've talked to, they're just so interesting, the way that they think and how out of the box they go with their creativity. So we feel very fortunate to have the projects that we have, and we're constantly getting new ones from different artists, so they're being updated regularly. Next slide, please. So some of the art projects that we've gotten, I wanted to share with everybody. This particular program is designed to connect Head Start centers with instructional strategies that support the infusion of art education into the existing classroom curriculum. So on this one right here, you'll see, thanks to Pacific Clinic's Head Start for applying these projects to the standards for us. This is an artist called Herb Williams, and he really is famous for working specifically with crayons and only crayons. So all his projects really depend on crayon as being the main focal point and the main tool. So this particular project is called color nesting, which is a technique he created. And the idea is to kind of follow a Mondrian-esque influence. And what you do is you would basically take the crayons and nest them within a tree outside, and based on color blocking. And his goal here was to really get the kids within to be connected to nature and to try and create art, like almost like an art installation within the neighboring nature that we have access to. And here you can see that there has been some standards that have been applied, and I think Dulce is here with us, Dulce Garcia, who helped us do this, and thank you to Dulce for making this possible. Maybe she can give a little explanation of this particular connection for everyone to learn more about this.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sheila. Yes, my name is Dulce Garcia, and I'm with Pacific Clinic's Head Start, Early Head Start. And our education manager, Judy Cashel, and I work very closely on connecting this project to the California Preschool Curriculum Frameworks and also the Head Start Early Learning Outcome Frameworks. As you can see, this art project does tie into a few of the different areas that can be applied. I'm also going to talk about the self-portrait project, which is on the next slide. There are many benefits for preschool children doing self-portraits. It can reveal so much about how the children perceive themselves. It gives teachers the opportunity to see the child through their own eyes. In this art lesson, the children are asked to take their self-portrait to the next level. The picture shown to the left was done by an older art student. However, you can see the concept behind doing a self-portrait mixed with an animal. In this project, we were able to connect art lesson to the California Preschool Curriculum Frameworks and Head Start Early Learning Outcome Framework. As stated in the California Preschool Frameworks, art lessons can tie into 3 different areas of visual art. The children are responding, engaging, developing skills in visual art, and are creating, inventing, and most importantly, expressing themselves, which also ties into the Head Start Early Learning Outcomes under the subdomain of sense of identity and belonging. Children may be using positive words to describe themselves along with describing self using several characteristics. Both of these lessons can be found on the Crayon Collection webpage. Thank you, Sheila.
Thanks, Dulce. So this is particularly another really cool artist that we worked with over here in Los Angeles. She visited us at LACMA during an event we had with our partner, the book, The Day the Crayons Quit and The Day the Crayons Came Home. And she was able to basically create this really cool art project for us that I felt like really got the kids thinking, and all the children that did participate were really into it and super excited. And I'm glad to see that we were able to make this connect to the California Preschool Curriculum Framework so that it really does support classrooms and learning art. We have a couple other ones of these projects I wanted to share as well. Next slide, please. This is called Alphabet Soup by Victoria Fu. This is an artist who is basically, I mean, I can't say enough about her. She's been, she's presented in the Whitney Museum. She's basically been in the New York Film Festival. So many awesome credits and merits to her work. And her idea here was using as many letters in the alphabet as you can, draw them one by one on a sheet of paper, each letter in a different size, almost filling the page, some small. Overlap the letters, the more the better, and use a different color for each letter. Now color the spaces in between all the lines and all the different colors, so no 2 colors next to each other are the same. So as you can see here, at first glance, you probably couldn't tell that this is actually the alphabet that this child has drawn, but it's A through Z, and it's all colored in. And as you can see, the standards that have been connected to this project I think are quite rich and interesting. And so there's so many parts that we touch on here. And this particular project was applied to the standards by the Loyola Marymount students that are receiving their doctorate in education. Again, all of these will be accessible to you for download afterwards at crayoncollection.org or on the Region 9 Head Start website. Next slide, please. This is another artist called Annie Lappin. She graduated from Yale and got her master's in fine arts from UCLA. She has been in Santa Barbara Contemporary Arts Forum, Pasadena Museum of California Art, the Nerman Museum of Contemporary Art. Super successful artist. This is an artist that visited Pacific Clinic's Head Start with us in our artist rotation program, which I will talk about in a little bit. The idea of this project was to gather newspaper that has some text on it, and of course some crayons, and circle every capital letter that you find. So we decided to do capital letter A for Annie. It should be the first letter of your first name. And then you connect all of these capital letter A's by drawing a line to each of them. Then you kind of shade in the image that you see. And then once you've got the shape, you can turn it into an animal that makes sense to you and then present your drawing to the class. And what I loved about this project was when we did it at Pacific Clinics, it was interesting to see that the teachers said, we are really impressed because the children were engaged for about 35 to 40 minutes. And this is something that I think Dulce will talk about in a little bit as well. And she's going to pretty much be able to share her experience as a teacher and as, you know, an educator on this. But we were excited to see the actual artist in the classroom with the students and really engaging, and everybody was so excited about it. So this was a cool one. This was my personal favorite one. Next slide, please. We're going to do another poll where we were going to ask you guys, would you download this art education program? Yes or no? Okay, good. The answer is yes. So I'm glad everybody liked it. Good to know. Again, if anybody has any questions before we move on to the next portion of this, feel free to chime in. I'm happy to answer them as we go. Next slide, please. So we decided to take it a little bit further by asking the artists to come into the classrooms with us and actually work with the students. What was interesting was that the artists actually all said yes, and all were really excited about this concept as long as it's localized. So what we decided to do was, with Annie, for example, she lived very close to Pacific Clinics Head Start, so we were able to have her visit the school and spend the time with the children. The idea here is that we have every artist that we work with has a minimum of a bachelor's degree in fine art. Most of them actually have master's degrees, but our minimum requirement is that they have a bachelor's degree. We're continually working with the new artists that are coming up with interesting projects that are cost effective, virtually free. As you can see, the newspaper shapes project doesn't cost anything. The crayons are donated. The newspaper is day-old newspaper that would have been thrown away as well. You don't even need paper. And that was what's so interesting about it. And the more interesting thing was these kids are doing art projects on a newspaper that, you know, in this particular boy's paper, it's the story about a Brazilian carnival, and it's, you know, the world. And then here's this artwork on top of it. And I just think it's such an interesting juxtaposition to see this child's artwork on this very serious newspaper. So we really enjoyed seeing that too. So we do pair artists in their local area. Herb Williams is in Michigan, so there's going to be a chance that we'll put him, connect him to a school out there. But this particular area that we're really focused on is Los Angeles, just because we're based out here. But we do have constant flow of artists asking to participate, and we can regularly pair them with schools. So if you're interested in that, please let us know, and we will make sure to add your school to the list. And once we find a match, we will definitely make it happen for artists to visit and come to your school. Next slide, please. So here's the video of us visiting Pacific Clinics. This is our art education in action. I hope you like it. Do you guys think crayons should go in the trash?
No.
Do you guys think that crayons belong in the classroom?
Yeah. We have been working with Crayon Collection to help them develop their curriculum for their art education program, and Sheila and Crayon Collection have some really great ideas on the art projects that they wanted to do with the children and apply them to the standards for California preschool curriculum frameworks and for the Head Start early learning outcomes.
Art is very important for the young children, especially to explore their emotions and their feelings. The kids were very engaged with the crayons and sharing with the teachers their beautiful art. I have more ideas to use the crayons in the classroom and to explore the crayons with the children.
One of the ways that Crayon Collection is very beneficial for Head Start is allowing the programs to have free resources that are downloadable along with the materials that are needed to provide those lesson plans. So what these are really focusing on is self-expression of the student. They're able to use the crayons in different ways. They're creating with them.
What do we do at Crayon Collection?
We collect them.
And you get to vote on them.
We get the color and have them.
My favorite part of the project
Was trying with the crayon. My favorite part was coloring colors.
What's your favorite color?
Red, yellow, and orange. Pink and
We really thank Crayon Collection for everything that they have done on behalf of Pacific Clinics, Head Start, Early Head Start. Thank you.
So maybe at this point, Dulce, you can jump in and sort of share your experience about what we did together that day and how your school felt about it and what they kind of took away from the whole program. I'll hand it to you.
Great. Thank you, Sheila. First, we'd like to tell you thank you for allowing us to be a part of this video. We greatly value that and the art lesson that was brought to our classroom. I would like to tell you a little bit more about the art lesson that was just seen in the video. As part of their arts education program, Crayon Collection provided a unique opportunity for our children at Pacific Clinic's Head Start. The highlight of the program this spring was having community artist Annie Lepin lead the children in an art lesson that Sheila just spoke about, titled Newspaper Shape, with the classroom of 3 to 5-year-old children. The children were asked to explore and search through a newspaper page using magnifying lenses for the letter A. When they found the letters, they circled it and then connected the circles. After connecting the dots and coloring, the children discussed what they saw in their drawings. One child proudly said, "Mine's a helicopter." Following the art lesson, the children had conversations with the artists about their artwork. Annie the artist asked questions such as, "Tell me about what you see." Children eagerly shared their ideas with the artist. The children's artwork was shared with parents and put on display in the new classroom art gallery. Crayon Collection's art education program has brought new ideas into our classroom and provides our program with opportunities to get our children engaged in art. We thank and credit Sheila Moravati's vision and leadership in helping raise the bar in art education for our early childhood program. Thank you.
Thanks, Dulce, for all of those kind words. It's really a pleasure to work with Pacific Clinic's Head Start and all of Head Start, really. We are so excited to share our work and to see the impact, like in these pictures, watching these kids so eager to find the letters and to connect the dots, and they worked so hard, and they were really, in my opinion, they were really excited about working on this, and it really made me proud to see that happen, and the teachers just kind of taking the idea and expanding on it and showing the kids kind of how to even make it better than what we've come up with. So it was a beautiful thing to see. There's Liana with the children studying what he found, and he was so excited about what he found out of his shape that he created. And each time you do this project, it's different. So one kid can create this project with a different newspaper and come up with a completely different shape just based on where the letters lie. So it's kind of fun to do that and see what you can come up with on a different newspaper shape. So here's our third poll of the day, third and final poll. Would you like an artist to visit your school and work with the students in person? Let us know, yes or no. I'm happy to see that it's 100% yes. Thank you so much. Definitely keep us posted on your location if you are interested. And as soon as we find an artist in your area, and we may have it now, we can make that pairing happen and schedule something for the next school year. Next slide, please. So one of the things I mentioned briefly earlier was Uber. We realized very quickly that many teachers do not have the transportation needed to pick up these crayons, and that it could be cumbersome and difficult. And again, our goal here at Crayon Collection is really to support teachers in any way we can. We want to make life easier if we can, and providing the crayons should not be an added pressure or difficulty. So we contacted Uber to find out if they'd be willing to support our mission, which is, again, to receive those crayons. So they said that they would provide us with free crayons. National Crayon Collection Month is in the month of August, so we thought that this would be a perfect time to ask Uber for their support. So essentially, it's a simple step-by-step task. You obviously need to have the Uber app. It's a free app that you can download. And then you contact Crayon Collection to receive the free code. Once your local restaurant is ready to have the crayons picked up, you just enter the Uber code into the app, and this way you get a free round trip ride within 5 miles. And the Uber driver will come to your school, pick up the staff member, wait for you to go inside and get the crayons, and then come back to the car and get your ride back, so that it's a quick and easy system to get those crayons. We're really excited to have Uber support. Seems like they're really eager to help us and understand why this is a necessity. So if you are in LA County, please consider using this tool and this free ride for that crayon pickup. Next slide, please. So we've been lucky to have some buzz. I think that the fact that it's a little bit of an out-of-the-box idea made people kind of interested. So we are really happy to say that we were able to spread the word about crayon collection and art education. So if you are able to share our project with others, we'd be more than happy to continue talking about this and spreading the word in other areas of the country. Next slide, please. So we have some partners here that I just wanted to share with you all. These are partners that have either participated in crayon collecting or can give you some ideas on who you can reach out to for their support. Wells Fargo, for example, was a community-based crayon collector. They had bins in their about 10 of their branches out here in Los Angeles where the neighborhood would bring their crayons in, and then we donated them to a school nearby right here in Los Angeles. These other restaurants and hotels are all collecting crayons depending on location. They're really excited to help out. So if you have one of these in your neighborhood, you can ask them at like a CPK, IHOP, Denny's. They will all easily help you. They're very used to us calling them and asking them, so they're aware of our program. So hopefully they'll be able to support your organization and your school as well. Next slide, please. So again, as I said earlier, the biggest gift you guys can give us is to share our program. We want more teachers to know about it, more teachers to download the art program. Our goal really is to infuse art education in a simple way that's not going to cost any more money, and it's really just trying to ignite some inspiration, especially of our artists, into the classrooms. Please share it, like us, follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Crayon Collection, and we can keep updating you on all the interesting things that we have coming up, as well as the new programs that are being downloaded or uploaded onto our website from new artists that are participating. Next slide, please. So you're welcome to email us if you'd like to get in, any specific questions or be involved on another level. info@crayoncollection.org, and again, our website is crayoncollection.org. That was a lot of information. Please feel free to ask questions. We can open up discussion now if anybody would like. Feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you, Sheila. As she mentioned, I'll open up the Q&A if any of you have any questions that you would like to ask. This presentation, as well as a recording of the webinar, will be available soon onto the Region 9 website for your consumption. If you have any questions as far as contact information or anything, you could also contact us here, and we will direct you to Sheila or wherever we can get you that answer. But just as you mentioned, if you can share on all the social media, would be beneficial. And if you don't have any questions, I would like to thank Sheila again for her time and her information, as well as Dulce for her participation. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, looks like there is there is a question. So the question that was asked is, Some people might have missed some of the presentation. It will be, the presentation itself will be available as a PDF for download on our website, as well as a recording, a live recording of the webinar, so you'll be able to rewatch it at your convenience. That should be hopefully uploaded sometime tomorrow, but it will be available at the Region 9 website. So yes, it will be available. Any other questions for Sheila? Okay, it looks like there is no more questions. Again, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Dulce.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for having me again. Thanks for all your time, everybody.